"9/11 terrorist attack, unanswered questions." Before we begin today's episode, I want to take a moment. September 11th, 2001 was a day that changed the world and took nearly 3,000 lives. Mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, firefighters, police officers, office workers, airline passengers, and ordinary people who simply went to work that morning. For a brief moment, let's pause in memory of those who lost their lives that day. May we always remember them, honor their families, and never forget the courage of the first responders who ran towards danger when everyone else was running away. Now, today's episode is one that many people feel strongly about. Some believe the attacks of September 11th were carried out entirely by terrorists. Others believe something about that day just doesn't add up. Our goal here on Front Porch Truth is not to shout at each other, is to examine evidence, look at the question people ask, and look at what the investigators actually found. Before we go any further, if you appreciate calm discussions about complicated topics, please consider liking this video, subscribe to this channel, share this episode with someone who enjoys thoughtful conversations or you feel may benefit from this, and then ring that notification bell so you don't miss future episodes. Your support helps this channel continue exploring history, mysteries, and questions, and that people still debate today. So let's begin with the official story. On September 11th, 2001, 19 terrorists connected to Al-Qaeda hijacked 4 commercial airplanes. 2 of those aircraft were flown into the towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. Another struck the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. A 4th plane, United 93, crashed in Pennsylvania after passengers attempted to retake it from the hijackers. Nearly 3,000 people lost their lives. It remains the deadliest terror attack in American history. In the years following the attacks, multiple investigations examined what happened. One of the most significant was conducted by the 9/11 Commission. Their final report concluded that the attacks were planned and executed by Al-Qaeda terrorists led by Osama bin Laden. The report also found major failures in intelligence coordination that allowed the attackers to carry out their plan. Another key investigation focused on how the buildings collapsed. The study was conducted by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, often called NIST. According to their analysis, the aircraft caused significant structural damage when they struck the towers. Jet fuel ignited large fires across multiple floors. Those fires weakened steel supports inside the buildings. Eventually, the upper floors began collapsing onto the lower structure, creating what engineers call a progressive collapse. But despite these investigations, many people still question aspects of that day. And that's where much of this debate begins. Today, we're going to talk through 5 of the most common arguments raised by people who believe something else may have happened. And we'll look at all the investigators, or what all the investigators said about these claims. First, and perhaps the most discussed argument, involves the third building at the complex known as World Trade Center, Building 7. Unlike the Twin Towers, this building was not hit by an airplane. However, it collapsed later that afternoon. Some critics say the building appeared to fall straight down, similar to a controlled demolition. Because of that, they argue explosives must have been involved. Investigators looked closely at this question. According to the analysis of the NISD, fires burned inside the building for several hours. Those fires weakened critical structure supports. I gotta stop right here. Where'd the fires come from? That's all I'm gonna say. Eventually, a key interior column failed, triggering a chain reaction of structural collapse. Critics still debate that explanation, but investigators concluded the fire damage alone caused the collapse. The second argument often focuses on the speed of the towers falling. Some people claim the buildings appeared to collapse almost at free fall speed. They argue that steel skyscrapers should not collapse from fire. Engineers who studied the event say the collapse happened in stages. Once the upper portion of each tower began falling, the enormous weight above created forces far greater than the lower floors could support. This caused a progressive collapse where each floor failed under the weight of the falling structure above it. The third argument involves reports of molten metal found in the debris. Some witnesses described seeing glowing liquid material in the rubble. Conspiracy theorists have suggested that this indicates the presence of explosives or thermite. Investigators examine this claim as well. According to the reports, the glowing material was most likely molten aluminum from the aircraft combined with burning debris and other materials. Aluminum can appear orange when mixed with organic materials and exposed to high heat. The fourth argument centers around eyewitness accounts. Some survivors reported hearing loud explosions inside the buildings. Those reports are often cited as evidence that bombs were placed in the 2 towers. However, engineers say that collapsing skyscrapers can produce extremely loud noises. Air pressure changes, electrical failures, elevator systems collapsing, and floors failing in sequence can all produce sounds similar to explosions. The fifth argument often focuses on intelligence warnings before the attacks. Some critics point out that certain intelligence agencies had warnings that Al-Qaeda might attempt attacks on American targets. They ask why the attacks were not prevented. The 9/11 Commission addressed this issue in the report. Sorry, I had itchy nose today. They concluded the intelligence agencies possessed fragments of information but failed to connect the dots. In other words, they were warnings of possible attacks, but nothing specific enough to stop the exact plot that unfolded. So where does that leave us? On one side, there's extensive documentation connecting Al-Qaeda to the attacks. Investigations uncovered planning documents, financial records, and communications tied to the hijackers. On the other side, some people continue to question aspects of the collapse and the government response. These debates have continued for more than 2 decades. Large and tragic events often led to questions that last for generations. Sometimes those questions reveal mistakes or failures. Other times they lead to speculation and theories to go far beyond the available evidence. In the case of 9/11, the majority of historians, engineers, and investigators support the conclusion that the attacks were carried out by terrorists. But the questions people ask about that day remain part of the public conversation. And maybe that's why this discussion still happened. Because events change the course of history and leave deep scars. People want to understand how something so devastating could occur. They search for explanations, they look for meaning, and sometimes they look for answers that go beyond the official story. No matter what or where someone stands in this debate, one truth remains beyond argument. Nearly 3,000 people lost their lives that day. Families lost loved ones, communities lost friends, and first responders showed extraordinary courage in the face of unimaginable danger. If this episode helped you understand the debate surrounding September 11th a little better, consider leaving a comment with your thoughts. I would love to discuss your opinions, my opinions, um, anything. Talk to if you're someone that's related to someone who died or lost their lives there. Um, feel free to leave me a comment. Um, I'll try and do something maybe in their memory or do a video of that. But keep the discussion respectful. History deserves serious conversations, not shouting matches. If you found value in this episode, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who enjoys thoughtful discussions about history and unanswered questions. And if you like more episodes exploring mysteries, conspiracies, and historical debates, make sure you ring the notification bell so you know when the next episode goes live. And please feel free to send me ideas for shows you'd like me to do. I'll go through them all, answer what I can. I'll answer every comment, at least in some way or fashion. Because here on the Front Porch Truth, we explore the questions, but we never forget the people behind the history. And today, we remember them.